Hello there, this is AD Robles, and you're listening to AD on the Fight, Laugh, Feast Network. All right, well, let me say this. If you have not considered doing so, please consider purchasing a copy of Social Justice Pharisees, Woke Church Tactics, and How to Engage Them. You can go to adrobles.com, that is adrobles.com, and purchase a copy. There's a link to my eBay page where you can get a copy through eBay, or if you'd like to email me at ad@adrobles.com, let me know how many copies you want, and I can bill you directly that way as well. Also, we can do some trades. A lot of people have been purchasing books for silver. One person even used a small amount of gold to purchase some books, which, of course, I appreciate, and we can work on that exchange through email. But I think this is a very worthwhile addition to your collection. I think there's probably a pretty strong number of churches that, if they're not already talking about leaving the SBC, they will be talking about that over the next few months. And the social justice issue is going to be central in a lot of people's minds regarding that. So if you want to prepare yourself to discuss, why the social justice movement is so damaging to the unity that was purchased by Christ at the cross for the church, and you want to learn about the common tactics that people will use to promote critical theory, social justice, woke church type stuff, and how to address them biblically, this book will be very helpful. It's written at a very easy to access level, not a ton of theological terms in there or anything like that. It's intended to clear things up as opposed to obscure them, which I think sometimes theological works are written almost intentionally to confuse. This is not that kind of a book. So if you are, suspicious, you might have some conversations like that in your church, which I think a lot of us are, this book will hopefully help you out in that conversation. Again, you can purchase a copy at adrobles.com. Thank you for considering that. Now, let's jump into today's content. I've got a few different things, so I want to mention two quick things, two things about Canada, I should say, and then I want to jump into a Dave Ramsey clip, which I find hilarious. I like Dave Ramsey, so don't think I'm hating, but he's pretty good at the getting out of debt stuff and why debt is so damaging and all of that. But beyond the debt stuff, not so much. So let's jump into the Canada stuff first, and then we'll get to Dave Ramsey. All right, so the first thing I wanted to talk about was this. It looks like a Facebook post, although I'm not sure because I'm not on Facebook, but somebody had sent this to me regarding Paul Carter. Now, Paul Carter is the Gospel Coalition Canada writer who has done his very best to pretend that the pastors being arrested in Canada, in his country, they don't even exist. And he's also done his very best to try to shame anybody who would call pastors being arrested for having church on Sunday persecution. He says that it's not persecution, even though the Bible calls that persecution, even though Paul himself in other articles calls that persecution. No, the state can do no wrong. They are not arresting pastors because they refuse to not hold church on Sunday the way they've been instructed to by the state, who has no authority over the church. That's not persecution, according to Paul Carter. But this is not about persecution. This Facebook post, it's a very long Facebook post, so we're not going to read the whole thing, but it's about vaccines. Which, if somebody wants to promote, a vaccine or something like that, I don't have really a big problem with that. I mean, I don't do research into vaccines. I don't know a whole lot about them. And so if you think it's a good idea to get a vaccine and you want to, display the fact that you've got a vaccine and you've got the official, position of the state, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But the way he promotes this vaccine here is so manipulative, it's scripture twisting, and I just couldn't even believe what I had read here. So I want to share this with you. Now, he talks about, how he's very proud of the fact that in his province, people that have gotten the vaccine, the rates are higher than other provinces. Very weird thing to kind of brag about, but that's what that's the kind of guy Paul Carter is. The first question he talks about is the vaccine the mark of the beast? I don't really find that all that interesting. I don't really care, so I'm gonna pass along that thing. Now, here is here is the next couple of things, right? So he addresses, the couple claims it might cause infertility and it was produced too quickly. And he says this, listen to this. He I just couldn't even believe this. So as far as I know, Paul Carter isn't a doctor. I mean, he's a pastor. So if he's a doctor as well, that's pretty impressive. He finds time to be a doctor as well as to be a pastor. I didn't think that much time existed in a day, but apparently Paul Carter, if he's a doctor, is doing it. So he makes some claims here. He says he's responding to people's hesitation that it was produced too quickly or it might cause infertility. And he says, no, there's no medical evidence that it causes infertility. Same thing as the no evidence of voter fraud, of course. There's no evidence when you're not looking, of course. Anyway, so it doesn't cause infertility, according to him, and it was not produced too quickly, according to him. This is all fine. If this is your opinion, I have no problem with this because we've all seen the fact that there's inconsistent data about almost everything regarding coronavirus. There are some doctors that believe X, and there are some doctors that believe not X, and so there's a lot of inconsistent data. And this is true of any science, any kind of thing at all, but especially true of coronavirus, considering how new it is and how incomplete the research is and stuff like that. So if this is what you want to put forward, again, I don't have a problem with this, except for when he says this. So he's talking about how he doesn't believe there's any evidence of the infertility thing or that it was produced too quickly. And then listen to this. I want you to hear this. This is a non-doctor, Paul Carter. After he gets done telling you all the medical research that he's seen, says that it's totally safe. Quote, my advice to you is this. Don't do your own research. Don't do your own research. As you're reading his opinion, what he says now is the buck stops here. Don't do any more research. Just take what I've said, and now that's the end of it. I don't want you to do any more research. I will tell you what's what. And then he says, consult your family doctor. Okay, fine. Consult your family doctor. That's good advice. But this is the reality, though. Like, this is the slave mindset of a guy like Paul Carter. Because as far as I know, I hired my doctor, right? My doctor is a counselor. My doctor is not my Lord. He's not my master. He's not my decision maker. I'll just give you an example. So I had a physical just the other day. Last week I had a physical. And he asked me about the coronavirus vaccine, of which I said I did not get it and I have no intention of getting it. And he kind of said, I've heard good things. And I said, yeah, I just don't really feel like I need to get it. I haven't heard all that good things myself. And not that I don't trust you, but I just don't see any reason. I'm not scared of coronavirus. You know what my doctor said? All right. Because I hired my doctor for his advice and opinions, not to make my decisions for me. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is the slave mindset here. This guy wants you to have your doctor make your decisions for you. You know what I mean? Don't do your own research. Hire a doctor to make decisions for you. That's a terrible idea. That's not what a doctor is for. A doctor shouldn't be making your decisions for you. You know what I mean? So, and you got to understand, the doctor, the person in the medical profession has a vested interest in promoting certain medical treatments. You ever wonder why most doctors are more quick to tell you to get on a blood pressure medication than they are to tell you that, hey, your diet needs to change? If you find a good doctor, they'll tell you your diet needs to change, but as they're writing the prescription. But the thing is, preventative medicine isn't really advantageous to most doctors. And doctors are just people. They're not like these altruists that are not, affected by sin. No, they have a vested interest in keeping you coming to their office. And so while I do trust doctors in some ways, I trust them more with, at least when they're somewhat honest about the downsides and they're not presenting something as if it's a panacea. You see what I'm saying? Like, you got to find the right doctor because they're not all created equal. My doctor also asked me if I wanted to get the pneumonia vaccine, to which I said no. And the reason why he asked me about it was because he found out that I might smoke, maybe one cigar a month. And he said, well, if you get the pneumonia, it could be serious. Okay, fine. But I'm pretty sure that one cigar a month is not going to put me at super high risk for pneumonia. And if it does, then I'll be wrong. But what I don't want to do is necessarily, pump myself full of different vaccines and chemicals and stuff like that on the low chance that I might get the coronavirus or pneumonia. Now, the thing is, like, I have asthma, right? So I understand that there's certain things that I'm at a greater risk at. But again, the doctor works for me. So, I'm not gonna just cave to every single thing a doctor says. But it's amazing to me, though, because if his advice is really go to your doctor, then why did he give me all this other advice? I don't know, but he certainly thinks that he knows a lot more than you do. Now, this is the part that I thought was completely unbelievable. He says this, I kid you not, I'm quoting him here. He says, lastly, if you are a Christian and choose not to get the vaccine, be very careful about communicating that in public, because the Bible says, quote, give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. Romans 12:17. The vast majority of Canadians think that it is honorable and loving to get the vaccine. A small risk by you will help get the rest of us back to normal and make grandma and grandpa safe. That is honorable in the sight of all. So if you decide not to get it, don't attempt to justify your decision by appealing to your Christian faith. That wouldn't be honest and it wouldn't be helpful. There is nothing in the Bible precluding you from getting the vaccine. That might not be true, by the way, depending on how the vaccine was developed, Paul. But I understand that kind of thinking is a little bit too complicated for you to even address. Like, there's no nuance here at all. It's just like, if you don't get the vaccine, don't keep your mouth shut about it, because you're actually disobeying the scripture. This is where he starts to twist the scriptures to try to get you to do what he wants. He wants you to get the vax, and he's trying to make it seem like the Bible actually commands you to get the vax because you're supposed to do what's honorable in the sight of all, and most Canadians think it's honorable to get the vaccine. Therefore, now you're duty-bound to get the vaccine, or at least if you don't, to keep your mouth shut about it. None of this is true, by the way. Paul Carter is making this up. This is there's nothing that biblically commands you to get this vaccine, or any vaccine for that matter. That's all false. But for a state worshiper, the state has spoken, his God has spoken, you shall get the vaccine. And so Paul Carter will do literally anything he needs to do to get you to get the vaccine, including twisting the words of the actual God that is there. Guys, this is no small thing. God will not be mocked this way. Paul Carter is taking the Lord's name in vain here, by definition. And that's a big problem for a guy like me. So, I mean, Paul Carter certainly strikes me as completely given over to the state cult, the government cult. I mean, this is the kind of guy that literally says, no king but Caesar. It's pretty gross. It's pretty disgusting. But that's enough Paul Carter for now. The next thing I wanted to talk about is this from Protestia. Let me just see if I can get you to see it here. Yeah, Protestia. So this is the new website of Pulpit and Pen, right? And you've been trained just like I have that Pulpit and Pen is the devil, right? Nothing is worse than J.D. Hall and Pulpit and Pen. They're the worst people around. They always lie, and nothing that they say is true. I even saw that someone had said that this is not the kind of voice we need right now. Who's that guy that said that? Oh man, I don't remember. Sorry, I don't remember who said it. But official kind of nice guy type thing, and all that. But the thing is, like, guys, like, I don't like all of Protestia's work. You know what I mean? I don't. But the reality is that Protestia is not the devil, and in many ways they outperform the official nice guy sources like Gospel Coalition. See, Tim Stevens is the brother who was recently arrested in Canada for not shutting down his church the way the Canadian Crown told him to, the way Paul Carter says you must obey because apparently he worships the state. So Tim Stevens was arrested, and Gospel Coalition is busy not doing anything about it. Most of them are pretending it didn't even happen. He doesn't even exist. They're not even naming him or mentioning him. And if they do, they're like, well, it's not persecution. He should have done what he was told. Like, that's Gospel Coalition for you. The nice guys. They're the nice guys. They're sipping their soy lattes, and they're super nice. And they'll tell you if you share a Protestia link, you shouldn't do that. There was one guy. There's an old brother in my town when I lived in Vermont, and he shared a Protestia link back when it was Pulpit and Pen, and it was a true article. I mean, it was, listen, like I said, I don't like all their articles, but this one was a really good one. And and an official Gospel Coalition guy, he got on his holy robes. He got done sipping his soy latte with his carb-loaded breakfast, and he said, "Brother, they're slanderers. You can't share that article. You can't do it." And it's like, yeah, okay, but what's wrong with the article? Well, there's nothing wrong with the article. That's the point. There's nothing wrong with the article. But anyway, while the nice guy Gospel Coalitions are busy getting their third, latte, Protestia is over here saying, "Hey guys, Tim probably feels alone. He's in prison. It's almost like solitary because he's in quarantine right now. They only let him out 30 minutes a day, all that kind of stuff. Most of the Canadian church has completely abandoned him and pretended he doesn't exist, like Paul Carter, for example. And so he's probably feeling kind of alone right now. He's with the Lord. God will be with him. We get that. Why don't we all write to him?" The big meanie Protestias, Jordan Hall, he's recommending that you write to Tim Stevens. And I completely agree. Click this article. It'll send you the link, the address for how to write to Tim Stevens. I'm going to send him a quick letter as well. And just encourage the man, because he probably feels pretty alone right now, because majority of people are like this dude. Oh, I clicked out of it. Too bad. I clicked out of it. Majority of people are like Paul Carter, pretending he doesn't exist and trying to convince you that the Bible commands you to get the vaccine. Tim Stevens, man, God bless you if you ever see this. If there's anything ever I can do for you, money, support, exposure, whatever you need, let me know. But I just thought I'd share that contrast, because nothing official is what it seems. You've been trained just like I. Oh, Protestia, they're evil. And Protestia is saying, hey, why don't you write to this brother? Don't forget about those of you who are in jail. Your brother's in jail. Don't forget about them. Write to him. Send him something. Send him encouragement. Gospel Coalition's busy pretending doesn't exist. It's just so gross, man. It's so gross. All right. Let's talk some Dave Ramsey. Oh, yeah. Like I said, I like Dave Ramsey. I think that his get out of debt stuff is very helpful, and I like his mentality. I like the whole thing about, what does he call it? Gazelle intense. When you're in a debt situation, you want to get out of debt with intensity. That's what your mission is, right? I love that. But when it comes to investing, and when it comes to some of the employment mindset type stuff, not so much. Not so much. So let's just watch a little bit of this. I actually saw Joshua Fluke address this, and his video was pretty funny, but let's see.
Ken, this article that the guys handed me right before the show, they said you talked about it on your show earlier, is probably worth talking about. The Great Resignation.
Yeah. Surveys are saying that American workers, up to 40% of the workforce in America, is looking to change jobs this year. So here we are as we are approaching, halfway through, and they're just going, hey, I'm going to make a move. So you're going to see this in 2021 and 2022. A lot of people changing jobs. You talk about 25% is the low end of the survey. 40%, that's an extraordinary number of people who are saying, you know what? It's time to make a change. And certainly the pandemic had a lot to do with that.
Brought on by the pandemic.
Let me just stop right here. So just so you guys know, I'm actually a literal, well, maybe not literal, but I get paid for my opinions on this exact topic. I'm a literal expert on the job market, why people change jobs, how people change jobs, what kind of jobs they want, stuff like that. I don't study all of the data and stuff like that, but I am in the job market every day of my life. I've been very successful at it. I've been doing it for over a decade. And so this is my area. This is my area. So a lot of people are about to change jobs. I'm licking my chops because I'm going to make some money based on that fact. And I talk to candidates every day about why they're changing jobs and stuff like that. So let's hear what Dave Ramsey has to say about this.
Giving you a philosophical reset and saying, life's too short to work at something I hate with people I hate.
That's right. Here's what happens. So we know that change is one of the greatest concerns for any human being. Change is scary. It has all this unknown. And so change is really, really ugly. However, when a forced change happens to you, so let's take the pandemic. And it was a massive change for people in arguably the largest area of their life. You think about time you spend at home with family, friends, sleeping. You think about work. That's the thing you spend most time on in your life. And so when there's a forced change, you didn't have any choice. You were sent home, either furloughed, laid off, or you were working from home. So now all of a sudden you're confronting a change that you had no choice over, and now you're dealing with that change. And so then we begin to go, oh, wow, this is huge. What other parts of my life would I like to change? And I think that's what has happened collectively. People are going, well, I had to deal with this. What would it look like if I actually worked in a place that I really love? What if I did work that mattered deeply to me? What would I have to do? What if I changed some things to be able to get qualified to make more money? What if I paid off debt?
You know, what I think is actually going on, and I don't disagree with much of that, but I think a lot of people, when they were forced to work from home, started realizing that, a lot of the reasons that they were staying at their company was just matters of comfort, right? Like they didn't really like what they were doing, or they didn't really like the company they worked for, more importantly. And so not being around them gave you a little freedom to really think about things and say, maybe I do want to find a better job. Maybe I do want to find a better company, or a better manager is usually what it is. People typically leave their managers more than their companies, although companies are definitely related to that. So, yeah, I agree. Like I don't necessarily agree with everything he's saying, but I think a lot of people are kind of considering change because they've had time to really sit and think about it. When you're home, when you're in the office, it's difficult sometimes to disconnect yourself and think about your situation objectively. I haven't changed jobs too many times in my career. In fact, I've only changed jobs once really in my career, and then I started working for myself. And so, I know that I get comfortable somewhere, and there's really no motivation to leave, even if there's definite downsides to where I'm working.
And I think you're seeing people are going, you know what? I think it's time. And I'm going to move. Here's what's interesting with this. 40% of American workers are considering moving into something else, so they're going to quit their current job. And you got 9.3 million jobs, Dave, that are open right now. And so it is a good time is the point, because companies are needing talent. They want talent.
Yeah, but
I think this is a very interesting point, and there's a disconnect there, right? So if everyone's trying to leave their jobs and there's 90 million jobs available, why aren't people taking those jobs? And the reality is that I'll say this as well, like it's harder to find candidates willing to make a move right now, even if they want to make a move right now. There's a lot of hesitation because there's a lot of uncertainty in the market right now. So people think that if you're at a new company, and the company goes, into financial trouble, that you'll be one of the first to go. I understand why they're hesitant. That makes perfect sense.
One of these companies with no soul.
You can take advantage of people.
And no, people aren't going to come.
No,
you're going to end up with a labor shortage.
Well, we already have that. Absolutely, it's happening.
You're going to end up not being able, because these folks are. What we're saying is that because of the pandemic, they said life's too short, and that's what the surveys are indicating.
Yep.
That they're not going to go to work for a company where life's too short again.
That's true.
They're going to go. They want to plug into something where they matter, where the work matters, and where it's something that they actually have a freaking talent at, that they're not just there to collect a check.
That's right. They have
realized. Well, they're going to try to find a company like that, but to be honest, there's just not enough jobs like that. A lot of companies are soulless. A lot of companies do consider you as essentially a robot. And there's just when you think about it, there's really not much wrong with that, because they're paying you a wage to do essentially what they want you to do. And so if you can't find your passion, your mission, whatever it is, and all you can find is, a job in exchange for a paycheck, there's really nothing wrong with that. I mean, a job is a job, right? Like I oftentimes you hear, Dave Ramsey and lots of people say that you shouldn't just work for a paycheck. And I'm often wondering why. Why not? I mean, that's why I do what I do. I need to provide for my family. I want to set myself up for my future. I'm working as unto the Lord, like I'm working hard at it, and I'm doing the best I can because really I'm working for the Lord. But a lot of people have jobs where if they weren't getting paid, they wouldn't do it. But those jobs need to get done too, right? Those jobs are important as well. And so I get what they're saying. I mean, ideally, you'd have a job that you really love and is a mission you really care about, and you can always make the best of it. But you work for the paycheck, a lot of the time. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, if you think there's something wrong with that, it's very hard to develop gratitude about it, right? It's very difficult when you constantly are thinking, well, I'm not fulfilled by my job at McDonald's. It's like, well, if you're looking for fulfillment in your job, that could be your main problem. You know what I mean? That's not where you should be looking for your fulfillment.
Crusade-driven organizations like Ramsey.
That's it. See, we all long to
I
make
think
a
we'll
difference.
benefit from this.
We will benefit from it. I'm going to tell you this, the Ken Coleman Show and Ramsey Solutions, we're positioned to help a lot of people make this move because now they need to know what they're looking for. Some of them don't know. They're just going, this isn't it. And so what we teach every day, as you know, Dave, on the Ken Coleman Show is, hey, you use talent as your tool. Your talent are premium tools. You do work you love. We call that passion. You just love the work. And then that work creates a result that matters deeply to you. So when we hire people,
I don't agree with him completely. Again, it's ideal if you can find something that you're really passionate about, and if you can make money on that, and usually you can, then great, more power to you. But again, it's okay to have a job and to work hard at it and to work your butt off and to rise up the ranks at a job that it's not your passion. You know what I mean? Like, the majority of my income comes from a job that I like. I enjoy it. You know, I'm good at it. But if you ask me, is it my passion? Probably not. Probably not. I'm probably more passionate about the YouTube content that I do, which is less than 5% of my income. You know what I mean? So, like, if I just decided to follow my passion and to do YouTube, and I'm only making 5% of my current income on YouTube, that would be irresponsible. You know what I mean? But it's okay because I'm working as unto the Lord, and I'm going to do what I have to do to provide for my family. And I'm doing YouTube because I like it, and maybe one day it'll be 90% of my income, and I'll be able to do it more. But the point is, like this mindset of like, if I'm not passionate about it, then I got to find my passion. I got to totally find my passion. It's like, I mean, there's a lot of people that make a ton of money doing stuff that I'm pretty sure they're not passionate about. And that's okay. That's totally fine. You know what I mean? It's totally fine.
Ramsey Solutions. Here's what you got to be. You got to be a crusader. You have to be deeply, deeply committed to the results of hope, practical paths forward for people to turn their life around, whether it be on the Dr. John Deloney Show with your mental, emotional health, the Ken Coleman Show, turn your career around, or turn your money life around.
It's a crusade. I mean, listen. I don't want to make fun of it. You know, their mission statement, all that. Whatever. That sounds like it's probably their mission statement. They're crusaders. Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But you know, for every Dave Ramsey Solutions company out there, there's also, you know, a bank or retail. You know what I mean? Like, and those jobs are totally fine. There's dignity in those jobs. Right? I really don't like this mindset. And there's a few different ways you can have this mindset. It's like, well, if you're not an entrepreneur, then you're just like totally a wage slave. It's like, but, okay, I mean, I guess if that's how you feel, but it's not true, though. It's not true. There's a lot of times you can do much better in your life working for somebody else than being an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur, and that's totally fine. I like it. I enjoy it. But I'd work for somebody else if I had to, and it would be fine. Maybe it wouldn't be my passion, right? But that's fine.
And so
I think we need to make working for a paycheck great again. What's wrong with working for a paycheck? That's what most people do, and it's fine. It's totally fine to do that.
Come here. You better be missional, and you better care about the result of life change, hope, practical steps forward for people.
Well, you won't make it through the interview process, and if you did, you won't fit in.
No, if you lie to us,
if you want to just collect
you
a check,
will be exposed because this is a different place.
Yeah.
It's not a different place, though. Every startup says this. I work with a lot of startups. That's part of my business, and this is what every startup says. They all have a missional mindset. Maybe they don't use the word missional because that's an evangelical word, but they're all missional. They're all purpose-driven. They're all these things, and that's fine. I'm not saying it's bad to be what everyone else is, but like, let's stop pretending that this is like some kind of unique thing. This is what every company says.
Well, I mean, we were talking about that this morning and stuff. I mean, this is how we do things.
Yeah.
And not everybody needs to be a we.
That's true.
So
Well,
you may, if you want to just say, well, I've got a degree in X, and so I have a talent, and you should just pay me for delivering on that talent. Nope.
It's not going to happen.
Nope. That's why we're getting so many developers coming.
Oh, yeah.
Because we work a developer 40 hours a week, not 80.
That's right.
And we work a developer where they're writing code doing something that matters. And so when they woke up during the pandemic, they didn't wake up and go, I hate my job. They woke up and went, man, we've got a lot of people need our help.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so they're going, hey, I know that if I'm in here in this company coding, that it is going to be directly tied to transformation.
See, I think that's
what everybody wants, is to make a difference in their work.
But that's what everyone does. This is the thing. Like, okay, I'm not trying to be critical here, but every company who develops any product, unless it's an illegitimate product like porn or something, but like, I work with companies that develop a software that does a very specific thing very, very well. It's not flashy. Like, we're not changing lives every day, giving people hope. And like, it's not like that, but it does change lives. It helps you be more efficient and reduce your costs in a very particular area. And it's a very particular kind of software, and it makes life better. Everything that you can sell that people buy is intended to make life better, and it might not be Crusader, like, oh, we're on a crusade. Like, no, it's like it's just a software, and that's fine. Like, I work with applicant tracking systems, and some are better than others, and some of them are just garbage, and they're hard to use. They don't do anything well. Some of them streamline the process so much that I can be twice as effective at my job just because I purchased this software. And so it cost me, $1,000 a year or something like that. But I bought it, and I could be twice as effective at my job. I make twice as much revenue that I would if I didn't have this software. That makes my life better. In fact, it makes the world better because it matches people up with the right jobs, and then those people are producing a product or a service that people buy that makes their lives better, that they exchange for cash. Like every company thinks that they're missional and they have a thing to offer the world, and if their product's good, even if it's a very boring kind of software, then they're right. You don't have to find the company that has like the perfect product in order to view your work as transformational or as world-changing, because the reality is that the economy tends to reward things that are transformational, things that make life better. Now, again, this is notwithstanding things like porn, things that are illegitimate, products that are illegitimate or sinful or something like that. But I don't think that Ramsey would disagree with me on this. I don't. But the way that they present it, and this is the way a lot of like these guru type people present things, it's very much like it's oversimplified, and it also serves to benefit their style of business or their service more so than others. Like, there's just as much dignity in making a killer, fast food company or store than there is at Ramsey Solutions. You see what I'm saying? There's just as much dignity there. Maybe not fast food. That's a little bit, but like a restaurant. You know what I'm trying to say? I don't like this mindset where it's like, if you're just not totally passionate about it, like, then it's just like there's no dignity in it. I don't like that.
So the net result will be, for the economy overall,
I'm killer at my job. I do a really good job with recruiting. You know what I mean? I find technical talent very well, and I do it at an efficient price and all of this kind of stuff. And I'm good at my job. But like, again, if you ask me, is this my crusade, my passion? No. And that's fine, because I use the resources that I make with the job that I'm really good at, that I can make a good income on, and I use it for the things that I'm passionate about. I use it for the things that I'm crusader about. You know what I mean? I'm passionate about my children, man. I want my children's children to have an inheritance. I want them to love the Lord. I want them to know the things they need to do to have a successful life. I'm passionate about that. I'm passionate about the church. And so I take the resources that I make with this, kind of mundane job that I'm not all that passionate about, and then I channel them into the things I am passionate about, like my family and my kids and my church and stuff like. There's nothing wrong with that, guys. Nothing.
If this transition is accurate, if this survey is accurate, will be a huge increase in productivity, because people will leave jobs. in bad situations that they are not good at, that they're not passionate about, and go plug into something,
Yes.
A, that they're good at, and B, they're passionate about in a better situation.
That's right.
And they'll produce more.
Way more.
Which goods and services,
Yes.
which will help the economy
Yeah,
overall.
it
So
will.
really, if people, everyone
I agree with
follow-
that. If you find a job that you're good at, and more so than a job that you can just make a lot of money on, that would help the economy, I think. But also consider the money that you make for it, right? Like, if you're passionate about, making, craft cheese, go ahead and make craft cheese. But just understand that there might be an opportunity cost there. And if you're also passionate about your children and your church and your legacy and stuff like that, all of that kind of thing, that might take a hit. Not to say that that's illegitimate. That might be fine, but it might take a hit. So they're oversimplifying things here, I think. There's a couple ways to slice this.
followed the Ken Coleman rule and got in something where their talent and their passion was aligned with what they were doing every day, then the economy would boom even
Yes.
more.
Productivity rises and durability increases. People stay longer. Tenure. People will stay in a place where they go, my work matters. The company sees me. And Dave, you just touched on this. Underneath all of this is a massive warning to leaders and to companies that if you don't give people a connection to their work, if they can't see that you care deeply about them, because they could be in their sweet spot, talent, passion, mission aligned. But if you have a crappy culture, they will leave you. They will leave you, and you better have a place that is healthy, and you better have a place that is dominated by leaders who care for their people, and people feel like, hey, you see me. I'm not just doing work that matters to me, but I matter to you, because you share how we collectively, everybody at Ramsey Solutions, matters to the world out there. That's what's special about this place. And companies that don't figure this out, you're going to lose talent at an alarming rate, and the companies that figure this out, Dave, are going to explode. They're going to grow like crazy.
Yeah. And one of the things that they came to the conclusion that I disagree with was that the worker is now demanding that they work from home.
Yeah, well, those people are going to lose.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Bad idea, by the way.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
These guys are so boomer, man. I'm just joking. But yeah, this is the big thing. Like, it's a bad idea. Those people are going to lose. Why? Why would someone who wants to work from home lose? Like, the thing is, like, if you care about your people, like, they just go on this beautiful tirade about, oh, you got to care about your people. They got to know you care. It's like, okay, so then why don't you treat me like an adult? Why don't you treat me like an adult? And if I want to work from home, why is that a problem? And then the culture will suffer. Those people are gonna, they're not gonna be on mission and stuff like that. All of that is a very one-dimensional way to look at this. I know so many companies that are able to keep their culture and their mission and their crusade aligned with a distributed team. This is something that's been going on for a very, very, very long time. I think every company is going to eventually have to catch up to this. Ramsey's over here being stubborn, but the thing is, eventually Ramsey Solutions is going to do the same thing. It's going to happen. Because most people don't need to be in the office. It's just that, especially developers, especially coders. You're going to lose coders because of this. And it's like most companies, I think, will switch to a hybrid model where they can have people in the office or not, as they see fit, treating people like adults. But again, like almost with everything here, Alexa, stop. That means I got a call in a minute. Almost with everything here, they've oversimplified this as well. There's really no reason that you have to lose working from home. I mean, I've done it for 7-8 years. These are the most successful 7-8 years of my entire career.
It hasn't worked.
You could try that.
All of the data
No.
is in.
That's right.
And work from home doesn't equal work.
No.
Getting done.
You can't have a great culture if everybody's separated all the time.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You definitely can. Many companies accomplish this. Companies have been accomplishing this for decades at this point. And so, I listen. I don't disagree with everything that they're saying here, but I just feel like some of this mindset stuff, and it's not just Dave Ramsey. It's a lot of these mindset guru types. They just super oversimplify things. There's literally nothing wrong with working for a paycheck. There's nothing wrong with working from home. And maybe not everybody wants to or is capable of doing it, but many people are. And I think companies, if they want to win, ought to consider that. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. God bless. Don't forget to tune in next week on Thursday for AD on the Fight, Laugh, Feast Network.